All right, everybody. This is the second episode of Southern Renaissance. And I got here the legendary Maxwell D. Russell, one of my good friends here. We made it all the way over here to Muscle Shoals, even swimming through that soup out there. It's like 1,000% humidity or something like that.
Not much better in here. But.
Yeah, but we're good. But yeah, hey, man. I'm glad you're doing it, Max.
I'm glad you're here. Thanks you, and welcome back to the Alabama.
Man, I'm so glad to be here.
I'm glad they didn't have you long enough to mess you up.
Yeah, they didn't mess me up too bad. They tried to put me in one of them Yankee programs, but they didn't. They didn't deprogram me too much.
You don't ever stick to a real Southern boy.
No, I met a lot of cool people up there, and I was glad to do it. And
some of my best friends are Yankees.
Yeah, me too. Me too. They got some good music up there too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Max grew up in Colbert County here, and what was that like growing up here around here?
Well, to quote an old guy by the name of Johnny Weicker from Decatur, who was on American Bandstand. And Dick Clark asked him what it was that was going on in Muscle Shoals area that made for such great music. And he said, "There's nothing else to do, man."
I've not heard that, but that's perfect.
Pretty much, you know.
I think that narrows it down because that's one of the questions I was going to ask you.
Yeah. There was, you had a baseball, and your cousin down the road had a bat, and one of your other cousins had a glove or two. So we'd get together and play baseball, softball. Basketball was an old tire rim on a piece of plywood nailed to the side of a barn or a tree. And bicycles, you had to, make bicycles out of whatever you found, scrap bikes and stuff. And but it was, I grew up over in Tuscumbia, over behind Spring Park on Sugar Hill. And, we didn't have a whole lot to do except fish and play ball, and every now and then go steal a grocery cart from the ShopRite and ride down the hill in it. And that, you talk about a rush now.
That kind of reminds me when I was younger, I'd kind of get bored, and we'd have these barns, and we'd find these long pieces of barnwood, and we'd like lay them up against the barn, and I'd find a box, and I call it the hillbilly roller coaster, and I'd just get in the box and slide down the board, not thinking I could fall off and die.
Oh yeah.
You think you're invincible.
Oh yeah, we were. We didn't, I've been in water up to my ears and couldn't swim, wading in the creek, trying to catch crawdads to play with, and never think about the cottonmouth laying up on the bank, looking at you.
Yep, exactly. Well, I know you've been doing music forever. Say you paid your dues is like just understating it. You've paid your dues probably about 1,000 times over.
I got started late. I didn't grow up in a area with people around me playing music with my neighborhood buds, and didn't have a garage band. Didn't jam with my high school classmates. I knew a few of folks that I went to high school with. They were in bands and stuff, and I got my first guitar, I guess, when I was outside of my Mickey Mouse crank-up guitar when I was like 2 years old. I got my first real guitar when my dad came home one time with a amp in the case, silver tone.
Oh yeah,
a single pickup Dan Electro made thing, and that was my first real electric. And I took lessons for a little while, but I was 16 years old when that happened, and the whole reason I started taking guitar lessons was because I could drive my car that I'd just gotten from Tuscumbia to Florence, which was a big deal,
Oh yeah,
get out and drive,
Yeah, man.
But I got started, later in life. I moved to Phoenix, Arizona. Had an acoustic guitar by then. I was down to one guitar. I'd gotten married and sold my guitar for $75, and I sold a 1949 Dodge pickup truck for $75, and had enough money to get to Phoenix, and lived out there for a couple of years. And moved back. I didn't, mess with any music at all. I was working and stuff. And when I moved back, I went to a yard sale one day and saw a guitar sitting over in the corner, and I picked it up and I went down, 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 down. I remembered that,
See,
I learned.
that's what I'm talking about.
So that started me going like, I got bit by that guitar, So I played it for a while, and then I started buying guitars and swapping and trading guitars, and then turned into, over the years I couldn't imagine the size of the building would be that of all the guitars I've had in my lifetime. But I was in my early 20s, probably about 24, and I met some people from Muscle Shoals area that had a band called the Chromatics, and they were in my opinion, the first punk band, first real rock and roll band, first band that I actually knew, and they were recording over at Fame Studios, and a friend of mine knew some of them, and they're all great friends of mine now. One of them passed away recently, and they kind of gave me the fire that I needed to realize what music was about, and wanting to be in a band, going to see them playing live, and then hanging out till 2:00 in the morning when they got through with their gig, just so I could get up and play Johnny Be Good with them at the end of the night. That was just a thrill. And Tom Pizza and Johnny Powell and Larry Vile and rest in peace, and Steve Chandler, all heroes of mine. And so they kind of gave me the mindset to start making music, and they did all originals, And I guess I wrote my first song when I was 11 years old. Some girl broke my heart, and I remember writing a song, but I didn't even have a guitar. I just wrote a song. Yeah. I had it in my head, and that was, that was what I thought you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
When you picked up a guitar, I thought you're supposed to write songs, and I didn't have any inkling to learn the newest thing off the radio. I still don't. I have a tendency to try to learn something, and then it'll give me an idea, and I'll go write a song. And so I've been doing that for 40 years now, and I've been lucky enough not to have to be in a cover band. I tried it 2 or 3 times, and it was kind of fun. It just didn't work,
Yeah.
But I get the biggest thrill out of seeing somebody sitting there singing one of my songs that they've been coming to hear me play, or somebody come up and say, hey man, that Willie Nelson song you played, or that such and such a song that you played earlier, what was the name of that? And I'm like, I didn't play no Willie Nelson. That's my song.
That's yeah.
And they go, what? So
see, I've always recognized that, man, because I'm kind of the same. I love writing, and you're a prolific songwriter, man. You've written a lot of great songs. As far as your guitar playing, I swear it's funny you said you started later, because I feel like somebody just handed that guitar to you right when you came out of the womb, as good as you play. But so I remember you got that one song, Coon Dog Cemetery. Yeah. You tell me about that one?
Well, that's a place over in Colbert County where they literally have a graveyard for coon dogs, and I don't know the actual history of it, when it started and everything, but the idea just came to me about writing a song about kind of like it was at one time what I've been told. It was kind of a lover's lane, because it's way out in the backwoods. It's a good 30-minute drive from here out in Colbert County. But I just had this idea, because I guess about 80% of my songs are somewhat fictional or imaginary or third party. Most of the stuff didn't really happen to me, but some of it did, and it's been filtered down to where it's like it could fit for happen to anybody. But at the time, I was playing with a keyboard player, and I pulled this song out, and we started working on it, and he listened to the lyrics and was talking about, shot my baby down in Coon Dog Cemetery is one of the lines, and he said, so you heard that story? And I said, what are you talking about? What story? He said, back in the such and such a time in the 50s or something like that, there was like a lover's lane out there, and and somebody, went out there with their girlfriend. They got in a fight and got, hammered or something, drunk or whatever, and he killed his girl. It's on one of those typical old tear jerkers, like down by the banks of the Ohio.
Yeah,
kind of
there's
songs.
so many old timey songs that have been around forever.
Yeah.
And they're just really tragic.
Tragic
great
songs. Daddy used to call them tear jerkers.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what I was writing with that song there. This is not about Coondog Cemetery. It's about something that happened at Coondog Cemetery, and
I like that.
It's kind of a spooky song, It's
I'm gonna love it. Then.
Yeah, it's got a minor chord in it and lots of tremolo and reverb, and
That's
it always goes over good with the band, especially when I play it with the band. I do it solo a lot, But with a good electric guitar sound and tremolo, reverb, and good crowd, and a lot of people, they request it. So
yeah, it's a great song, man. And
Thank you.
Your main band right now is the Shakedown Kings,
Shakedown
right?
Kings. Yeah, we've been together. Well, I've been playing with the bass player off and on. This band I've had together for probably, I guess, going on 15 years at least. Before that, I had another band called Hot Club, and I had a band, all the way back into the late 70s, 80s, early 80s is when I first started really putting bands together, 82, I think. And I had a band called Language. I had a band called Oxygen Debt. They were punk bands. I call them punk, but I didn't know what else to call it. I was into the punk rock stuff at the same time I was into the blues, And
I know what you mean, man.
I mean, I
we're
like
kindred spirits.
Oh
on
yeah,
that, man.
Both styles of music have an honesty and a rawness about them that they're connected to for me. So I mean, I love X. I love Muddy Waters. I love Johnny Winters. I love the Incredible Shrinking Dickies or the Dead or not the Dead, the Damned.
Yeah,
I don't want to do nothing with the Dead. I don't like the Dead.
I'm with you there, man.
Yeah.
We're already controversy.
We don't want to get none of those deadheads stirred up.
No, sir.
What those little balls they used to kick around, they'll throw down there.
Hacky sacks.
Hacky sacks. They'll beat us to death with a hacky sack.
Can you imagine one of them jumping out from behind a tree and just throwing a bunch of hacky sacks, like in the biblical times when they'd stone people, but they'd hit you with hacky sacks?
Hacky sack you to death.
That was slightly inconvenient. Well, why do you think people over the years came from so far away to record here in Muscle Shoals? I mean, we got Muscle Shoals Sound here and a Fame Recording Studio.
Yeah, at one time there was like 10 or 11 studios. Fame's still going. Muscle Shoals Sound is still operable. It's still, you can still record there. It's a museum of sorts now, and they do tours. And I think with Rick Hall, this is just me thinking out loud. Rick Hall had a thing going on, and he captured a certain sound that a lot of people were looking for. And the recording industry, when Dwayne and the Allman Brothers, the Allman Joys at the time came to town, and Dwayne, the history, slept out in the parking lot and all that stuff, and great guitar player and great band and everything. But if the chain of events had been different, there wouldn't be an Allman Brothers band. There wouldn't be a lot of stuff that's going on. It just so happens that the stars were aligned right, and Rick Hall was tenacious enough to work musicians and session players into churning out these hit songs. He had an ear, and he knew what he wanted to record. And then when they came along, it was like he didn't know what to do with that. It was creativity, and I don't think that creativity was something that he had a handle on. He didn't understand it. He had a kind of a systematic thing about, okay, you do this, you do that, put your bass drum down, throw the horns in there, press it, put it out. That's what he did, and that's how it worked. And then when the Swampers moved on, they started a whole nother culture of recording. They were more creative, I think, and opened the doors for a lot of different music, and it's still, both of them had their place, and they, the music world wouldn't be the same without, either one of them. And I think the old saying goes is like, the Rolling Stones like wanted to be here because they could walk down the street and nobody'd recognize them.
Yeah.
A lot of people wanted that anonymity so they could hide out here, you know. But I don't think the Stones stayed long enough to do that. It's not like they really hung out. They didn't even use the console and stuff in the studio. They just used the room, which is a magical room in itself. You know,
I love Sticky Fingers. Not Sticky Fingers themselves, but the album by the Rolling Stones.
Oh yeah.
I love that album cover with the zipper on.
Yeah, I got one of
Andy
those.
Warhol.
I got the copy of that, and but yeah, they just seemed like they pulled. I think they pulled up with a recording system in a trailer and run a snake in the building and went in there, and the rest is history. Or Keith Richards sat on the toilet and wrote the one song, Wild Horses, and
this one's called Toilet and Open G.
But I think that after the Stones did their thing here, that really put the Shoals area in fame, and the Swampers on the map with the Skinner thing. I don't know which one came first. I'm kind of not really. I don't keep up with it. I know what happened, but I'm not a historian by any means. But I know knew all of them. Most of them passed. David Hood's only Swamper that's left, bless his heart. And Rick Hall, I met him a few times before he passed, and I was standing over there in Studio B and at Fame one day, and he stopped and looked at me. He said, "Do you one of them hot guitar pickers?" And I said, "No, sir." And he kind of looked at me like, "What's going on here?" And he just walked off, twisted his mustache and walked off.
Yeah.
So it was like he was expecting me to go, "Yeah, you want to hear me play?"
Yeah.
I really didn't care, I was over there doing something else, and
that's funny. Yeah, that threw him off. He's used to everybody trying to get him.
Well,
he go with it.
He had the best. He had all the Wayne Perkins. All kinds of sets. Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy was the king of chink. He knew how to do that and keep the rhythm. And I can see his face right now. Pete Carr. Pete Carr was such a creative guitar player, and they just so many session players that came around here and made their home here, and a lot of them came from Florida or wherever, and just hooked in and started making a living at it, when you could.
Yeah, right. Now, it's a lot different now. Huh?
Oh, yeah. I've never made any money
to
speak of playing music. I've pretty much just had fun doing it.
It's because it's better in your heart, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's because you're the real deal.
Well, thank you.
But it's one of the things I feel like, and maybe this is just me, I feel like there's an energy about the Tennessee Valley and just North Alabama. Like I was reading about the Chickasaw Nation, I guess, had some own there, not owned. Native Americans don't own land. They lived on the land. That's what they would say.
Yeah.
So they lived around here, but they were doing their rituals and stuff way before old Christopher Columbus was here. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, and I know they call the Tennessee River the Singing River, right? So
the river that sings.
Yeah. So I feel like there's an energy here that's existed, and
there's something in the water.
Yeah, literally something in the water. I think there's something to it. It's I don't know what it is.
There's a mojo here. That's not, and you can go a number of different places and you can feel it. I've been in spots in my little studio before, and even had one songwriter friend of mine go like, "Man, I just feel something right here." We tried to sit in another room. It was cooler in another room. No, let's go in there. I like that room there.
Yeah.
Go to somebody's house, and try to write something, and just, you just don't feel the vibe. You don't connect for some reason. I had a recently last year, say recently, like a year and a half ago, I started writing with a friend of mine, and he had moved here from Gadsden by way of Idaho, and we just clicked. We sat right here in this room and just hammered out some songs, and 15 or 20 songs in about a 3-month period. And it's like, they were all good songs, you know, and I'm like, tried to do it somewhere else. We tried to write at his place. He got a little office in one of the studios. Just didn't happen, you know. I don't know what the magic is or when it comes, you know, but when it's kind of like, you know, I'm standing on the corner waiting on the song, and I try to grab it before it gets away from me. You know?
That's a cool thing to me about songwriting. It's almost like to me it's the creation, and just you get so close to the past what we understand to be reality. It's like you were saying about your your song about the coon dog cemetery. How you sort of wrote that, and you didn't know about the story the guy told you later on. I've had things like that happen to me where I wrote a song. I have no idea what it means.
Oh, I've got
and then
songs.
People are like, oh yeah, and it's like it almost like a prophecy, or like there's something past that we're getting this information, but I don't know where it comes from.
Kind of like it got handed down to you, and you're supposed to share it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what you think it is. Somebody else is going to interpret it in another way anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, I've got a song called Gypsy Bottle. I thought, what is a gypsy bottle? I never knew what it was about, you know, but everybody likes a song and everybody thinks something different about it.
Yeah.
And, I recently wrote it with my friend from Idaho by way of Gadsden. We wrote a song called Black Rose of Texas. Nice. And it's, I didn't really think about what it was about, but, after it was kind of like the gambler type scenario where this guy meets this fellow and he sets him straight on the meaning of life sort of thing. Well, it turns out Black Rose of Texas is heroin.
Oh, man.
So this guy, the lyrics to the song are about this guy that loses everything because of the Black Rose of Texas. And then I'm sitting there, and he had dropped the word, the phrase Black Rose of Texas.
Yeah.
And between the two of us, we came up with the lyrics talking about or singing about that, that what happens to somebody when they do, have that problem. And it was like, oh, well, I didn't know what it was about. It's just like, he said, you never heard it called that? And I said, no, it's always been called heroin or smack or horse to me.
Yeah.
I mean, even when I was growing up, there wasn't heroin around here. There was, if you had to go to New York or Los Angeles to be a junkie, junkies weren't around here. Now they're everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
I think you have to go to a big city to get away from them.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Maybe you may be right, man. But yeah, that's I knew, and it's weird because I know probably only songwriters completely understand what we're talking about with that. Just the connection there.
They don't understand it, but they know what you mean.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like I don't understand where songs come from sometimes, or why, or what triggers me to sit down and write a song. I know when they do come, the ones that hit the hardest happen quick.
Yeah.
I mean,
true.
I write them in 15 minutes. Now I've got one song that I've been doing for years, probably for 20 years, that just never seemed finished. I never thought it was a complete song. And then about 2 years ago, I wrote the last verse, and it made more sense.
Nice.
And it's it's just hard to explain sometimes, but yeah, the lyrics sometimes come and you rattle off lines and words and put them down, and you go like, well, what does that mean? It don't matter, it rhymes right now.
Yeah.
Go back, and if it doesn't make sense, then you change it. Sometimes you don't change anything, but yeah, I got a song. I was watching TV one morning, and this young couple were on a national TV show, and they were all in love. And long story short, I wrote a song called "My Girlfriend Asked Me to Marry Him on the Jerry Springer Show." It didn't happen to me. I was watching television.
But it's good, man. I love it. It's storytelling.
Yeah.
That's a tradition.
That's a late night song.
Nice.
Play it to the end of the night.
Oh yeah, I like it, man. Well, I know you played a gig the other day with Jimbo Mathis, and of course your son Kurt incredible musician in his own right.
Yes,
How
sir.
was that, man?
Oh,
And
man.
Charlie Musselwhite,
Charlie
too,
Musselwhite,
right?
man, what are you
Man,
talking
how
about?
cool is that?
It was unbelievable. I've been involved with this show called the Salt and Pepper series for about, I guess, around 5 years now. And my friend up from over in Fort Payne's, Russell Gully, and a local guy named Dick Cooper and myself were, we started out putting together this show in Florence, and it was like quarterly, so it wasn't very often that we did it. And we were trying to bring Alabama blues and roots music, in. And we got so far with it, and it seemed like we ran out of musicians. They're either dead or they're not from Alabama.
Yeah. You ain't from around here.
Yeah, you ain't from around here. So, but there was a connection some way or another. So they either recorded here or they knew, something happened that they did that was connected them to Alabama. And Kirk's been playing with Jimbo for a couple of years now and playing drums, and he lets him play guitar. And Jimbo's is an incredible musical force. I mean, artistic.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, this guy during the pandemic had downtime. Did he sit on his butt and cry? Hell no. He built a puppet theater, and he made his own puppets.
That's awesome.
They're great, man. It's unbelievable.
I didn't know he did that.
Yeah,
That's great.
and he's still doing the squirrel nut zipper thing. And,
Oh, yeah.
And Kirk's playing with this band. This group here is called Creatures of the Southern Wild.
I love that name.
Got a Jimbo on guitar. Another guy plays guitar. I can't think. I can't remember names, but a 4-piece band, and got a girl sings with them, and
Nice.
she sounds like Linda Ronstadt.
Oh,
pretty
okay,
much.
cool.
It's a great band. And
Awesome, man.
I got a hold of a CD of about 8 songs that they recorded recently, and they booked Jimbo to play the Salt and Pepper series, and he had some scheduling conflicts with his bass player, yada, yada, yada. So he asked the Shakedown Kings to play, and I said, let me think about it. Yes.
Yeah, right.
So we rehearsed one time, and I'd been listening to the CDs, and of course he's a roots player. He's a down to earth guy, and so we just clicked. He'd said he'd been wanting to play with me for a long time, so it just happened, and it was really, really intense, and it went by so fast. It's one of those gigs that you turn around and you go like, man, I want to do some more. I don't want to quit. Let's play till midnight,
I know, man.
And then Charlie Musselwhite was in town doing another show during the Handy Festival, and he got up there and played the whole night with us, and he played harmonica on one of my songs. I got to play one of my song called Ease On Down the Road.
Oh, man.
It's we call it Slow Blues and C. So, I mean, we tore it down on that one,
That's
and it
cool,
was just
man.
intense. And we had a good crowd, and, just a really, it was borderline spiritual. It
I
was,
feel it, man.
we went to church, man.
I love it, man.
It was down there, and had a Mary Mason, a local lady singer, and another band, Tremaine. They played in front of us, and we just had a good time. I would like to do that. I couldn't handle it every night of the week, but a couple of nights, maybe a month. But I sure don't want to travel that much to do it. But that's what was so great about it, Plus,
right
it's been videoed and recorded and everything, and it's supposed to be on the public TV eventually.
Oh, nice.
The whole
Can't wait to
series
hear it.
is going to be a slot on the public television eventually. There's funding
Cool,
and grants and stuff going in place to put that on television, because, man, I tell you what, we all the time we've been doing it all these years, we got some great shows that happen there,
bet.
some really good stuff.
public television's put some awesome stuff out.
Yeah.
Over I remember flipping on there and they were playing that Roy Orbison concert.
Oh, my goodness,
Black
yeah.
and white.
Yeah.
They're playing all the good stuff.
Yeah, and they used to do what was that club down in Birmingham where John Spencer Blues Explosion played? The Bottle Tree or something.
Oh, Bottle Tree. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they're around
Oh,
anymore.
no, they
used
closed.
to be. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I would be watching it as late night, One thing they did that I thought was kind of backwards is they had live music shows or music shows
Yeah.
on Friday and Saturday nights when musicians
yeah.
would be playing. And
That's
I'm
a
going
good
like,
point.
and put it up on a Monday night, or
yeah.
Sunday morning, like at 10 o'clock.
Yep.
I don't want to, I got a gig. I can't watch your
I'm
show.
with you on that, man. Yep, exactly.
But public TV's always been a channel. Back in the day, you had 3 channels. If you were lucky, you could get to one in Birmingham and watch a Benny Carl show. But
oh yeah. Well, you're kind of like me, and I know you're known for the roots and blues stuff, but of course you're a hardcore rockabilly fan like I am, man. And
that's why I love your music.
Oh, appreciate it, man. Well, you played on the last album we did, and honestly, I'll go ahead and say this: I was I had some personal things going on, and I was wondering if I wanted to even do that album. But with your encouragement, that's the reason it got finished.
I'm
and I
glad
was
to
so
know that.
proud to do it, man.
It had to be recorded because it was such a good band.
Oh, yeah.
Still is. Last time we got together, we didn't even rehearse. We just showed up and blew the doors off the place. That was a great night.
Yeah, we did that gig. That's right. Yeah, I was still up there in Fort Wayne, Indiana, because I was working at Sweetwater's my day job, and I was coming down here, and I said, man, it'd be awesome just to do
jam.
like a one-off gig with the guys. I missed y'all, and it's just something about playing up there with y'all, and went off without a hitch.
Oh yeah.
No practice.
Oh yeah, like we
just gave y'all a set list, and we're good to go. Yep.
Yeah, the rockabilly thing. I mean, I grew up listening to WSHF radio as an AM station in the Shoals area. It was WLAY, and I mean you listened to what was on the AM radio in a car because we didn't have a TV or a stereo for many years. And finally, I won a stereo off of a WQLT radio station over here, and I actually had a AM/FM 8-track tape player, and but the rockabilly thing came from hearing White Lightning, or hearing Buck Owens, hearing Buck Owens and stuff like that, and then the old Carl Perkins stuff, and of course Elvis, when he came and did his 69 comeback tour, or
comeback special.
Yeah, when he was
whatever.
in the black leather and all that stuff, and I'm going like, man, that's the sound.
Yeah,
that it's like a white boy trying to play the blues.
Right.
That's all it was, And I'm going like, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
So you just have that up. It's a happier blues, I guess, a more up tempo, jumpy kind of songs. So I've got a number of songs that are in that vein. I got one called "The Boys Got Rhythm" that I wrote.
Oh yeah.
I wrote about
It's a cool one.
kind of about my son, who, by the way, he just turned 40, and we've been playing together since he was 9 years old. He's played his first gig with me when he was just turned 9, and he's my right hand man if I need a bass player, drummer. He's playing keyboards now, and they burn a mandolin up. So we do a bluesgrass thing occasionally.
Oh, cool.
I have an album out called Chains. There's a song I wrote called "Lord, These Chains Are Killing Me."
That's a great song, man. I love that song.
It was a stomping John the Revelator kind of blues thing.
I love Son House. That's one of my favorites of all time.
He was a king.
I was listening to him the other day, just that song, Grinning in Your Face. Is something, he's just clapping, singing, but it sounds better than 90% stuff I want to listen to.
And the John the Revelator is like him stomping his feet. And no
awesome.
Guitar, But I wrote that song, and there's a group from Mobile area, up around Kentucky, I think, where they're based at, called the Beat Daddies. And the singer recently passed, about 3 years ago now. But I used to do this songwriter showcase, and they came down, him and his guitar player, Tommy Stillwell. Yeah. They came down and played my showcase. So I played that song, and I had just written it, you know, and I was doing this one chord open tuning slide in the key of D, the devil's chord. And so it was wicked, you know.
Yeah.
And when I got through playing it, they both looked over at me and said, "We want to cut that song." And I went, "Okay."
Yeah.
So it's on their album. And
Nice.
What was funny and crazy about it is when I recorded the acoustic guitar and sent the vocals and the acoustic to them on the email for them to have a reference, you know. And I was thinking the whole time in my mind, if I could record it the way I wanted to, I would have full band, harmonica playing on it, and the Blind Boys of Alabama singing back up with a big churchy sound, like a choir sound.
Yeah.
Well, after they got a hold of it and they recorded, they sent me back a demo. Guess what? It had harmonica and the Blind Boys of Alabama. It didn't actually have the Blind Boys of Alabama, but they used a processor to get that harmony, the harmony sound.
That's cool.
It wound up on their last album they did.
Nice, man.
So, and I got a royalty check. I got it hanging on the wall over there for $19.83.
Nice, man.
And I took a picture of it and cashed it. And that's the year my son was born, or oldest son was born.
Oh, cool.
So it's kind of a keepsake.
Definitely,
And
man.
I cashed that check and went and got me some. Got me a big hamburger.
That's what I get a few royalties off of my streaming, and I call that Taco Bell money. Every once in a while in a year, I'll be like, "Oh, look, there's some Taco Bell money." Yeah. That the rockabilly thing is in my blood as much, if not more, than especially with a band. If I get with an upright bass player like Freddie Frost, or you know, or my bass player Terry Richardson, you know. It's just something about having a good guitar, hollow body with a lot of reverb. 20-foot chord, a good drummer that can shuffle, and an upright bass slapping. And you know, you just cut loose, and you can't help but like it. You know, it's good music. It's happy music. Yeah, you just feel it. And even some of my more depressing songs, it still sounds sort of happy.
Oh yeah. You can sing about somebody chainsaw murder or something with rockabilly song, and
it's still
be
going
fun.
to dance to it.
Yeah, you're going to dance because I cut his head off and threw it in the bucket.
I'm gonna bop. Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love rockabilly, all the old. I mean, the Stray Cats. I got to see Brian Setzer in Memphis a few years ago. Going to go see him in Nashville at the Ryman in October, and it'll be my first time to go to the Ryman. And he's, you know, I've always wanted to see the Stray Cats, but seeing his rockabilly right was incredible,
awesome, man.
You know, I love what he did with the orchestra, but him stripped down with a 3-piece.
Oh yeah, he's just so good.
You can't. But he's one of the most. Nowadays, he's not underrated. He's one of the king daddies. You know,
they finally get it. They're like, oh yeah, that guy is good.
And not only that, he's a singer, singing fool, man. I mean, and you know when he slid away from the Stray Cats there that few years, he had a couple of albums that he had to put out to satisfy the record label. But he did 2 other albums in between that, and then when he came back with the orchestra and the swing stuff. Yeah. And one's called The Knife Feels Like Justice, and the other one's live nude guitars. Yeah. Dude, that is some of the best music I've ever heard. I mean, there's a couple of songs on it. The Knife Feels Like Justice, and it's got a song on it called Every Tear That Falls. Makes me cry every time.
I know he put out an album a while back that I had. We're talking about 66 Comeback Special. That's what man, that was a cool album, but not everybody knows about that one. He's
got a new one out now, you know, and he's got a great band. Got a guy from Nashville that used to play with Delvin Clinton. I can't think of his name. I can see his face, but he plays keyboards with him, plays piano, and gets up and plays guitar
Nice.
too. So yeah, Brian Setzer's probably right up there. He's one of my top 10 guitar players.
I believe it, man. Yeah, you have your own. You have your own sound, which is awesome. Like I describe it as like somehow it sounds like you're in the desert, but you're in the swamp at the exact same time. I don't know how you do it. You get that tremolo going, that reverb. It sounds like a Western and a swampy song at the same time.
Got a dust
awesome.
Radio, I call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got the spooky sound and you like you riding up. It's kind of like you've been across the desert and you're knocking the dust off of you, and you find the oasis, and it's not drinkable water; it's muddy water. And what do? You stick your head in it.
That's a perfect description. I love it, man. Well, yeah, and like I say, we played some gigs together, and man, it's the TMFP band, and man, it's been so fun. I've been kind of having issues with my hand and stuff, so that's part of the reason I started doing this podcast.
Yeah.
I said, man, I just want to, I went up north for a while, and I know people got to know me over time, but they automatically had assumptions about me because I was from the South. Some people did.
Imagine that.
No, not everybody's like that. I may talk a little slower, but yeah, there's all kinds of people everywhere. And man, I know so many just creative, brilliant people like you, man, and just the real deal, like authentic. That's to me what it's about. And I think that's what I wanted to focus on the most, is just people like you that are so authentic and they got a lot to offer.
So who's going to interview you?
Man, nobody, man. I'm a nobody.
I can't wait till the TMFP band gets back together and does a show or two.
It's just, it's so fun, man. Like playing with you and Freddie and then Scott. And it was a blast all the times we played. And, I'm sure we'll
Kind of
back.
like eating Cheetos and Dr. Pepper at the same time, ain't it?
I love both those things. Two great tastes that taste great together. And you got a rock and roll spirit in you. Like you love storytelling. You love that spiritual side of. I feel like you bring all that into it, but you also are a rock and roller, and you got a little punk rocking, because like I remember we played that show at the Nick, and at the very end, I remember you'd grab with one hand all your strings and just rip them off,
yeah.
And that blew everybody away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the most rock and roll things I've ever seen.
I stole that from a guy by the name of Donnie Roberts. He's a guitar player for Webb Wilder. I saw them do it years ago, and he ripped his strings off his guitar. So that's a tip of the hat to him. And then my son Kirk did it on a show a while back, and it's on the YouTube, and blew everybody's mind when he did it. So it's a stage show trick.
I love it, though, man. It's showmanship.
Flips people out, it's not something you want to do with your vintage guitar.
I wouldn't think so. Yeah, that's something you do with a telly.
Well, that's what I did
go through hell
with my old telly. Yeah, you don't want to do it with your Martin acoustic.
No.
That's not a good idea.
Just snap it.
Yeah, the punk rock thing. I've actually got another group I've had together, and we've done a handful of shows. But I've got a friend by the name of Bill Reeves, who has a band called a Random Conflict.
Oh yeah, I love old Bill.
He's been together, Billy Drano. He's never changed his style, his passion.
Yeah,
he's just like he was when I first met him 40 years ago. We've been great friends ever since. I always wanted to play in a band with him, as I did with my friend Tom Pizza from the Chromatics, who I started this band called Soul Preacher with.
I was going to ask you about that too.
Yeah, it's me and Kirk on drums, me on guitar. Tom Pizza played bass till he had some health issues that he just had to retire, and that broke my heart. But I still wanted to do that, and I could have used the guy I've been playing with forever, Terry Richardson on bass. He'd have done a great job, but Bill just has this attitude, this aggression when he plays.
Oh, yeah.
Stage presence
seen
that I was looking for with these songs, because I've taken some of the songs that I did with my rockabilly band, Hot Club, that bled over into my Shakedown Kings band that I do with Soul Preacher, that I just throw the gas to them, and make punk rock songs.
It's the same thing.
They're not really punk rock. They're smoother than punk rock. Punk rock to me was kind of like, okay, I can't really play, I can't really sing, but I'm in a band, by God. Yeah. So this is, a band. I'm not knocking punk rockers. They're all
garbage people. I don't like any of them.
But we've got some good songs, and we're probably going to wind up recording an album and doing this. But we got a show coming up this Friday night. What's the 19th of August over at the place in Florence called the Lava Room, and we're doing a 3-band bill. We're gonna blow the doors off of that place.
Nice,
and
man.
I just started. We've only played probably 6 shows since I started with Bill, but this has been 15 years ago. I put this band together, and we played 5, 6, 7, 8 shows with Tom Pizza on bass, and we got some footage and some crappy audio, and videos and stuff. But this it's just kind of like a team that that you want to do a certain style of music. You got to have certain players.
Yeah.
Or you just don't just put anybody in there because they happen to be able to play something.
Yeah.
They got to have that drive and that.
Absolutely, I get it, man.
And the fear of volume is an issue.
I thought you were about to say fear of God.
No. I like, this is loud, aggressive, fast, mean, nasty.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like Black Oak, Arkansas on steroids.
Oh, I love that description, man. That's what I'm talking about. That's good stuff, man. We'll listen to some more of that. Well, what do you like about the South? What's something that you really appreciate about the South? I know you lived here all your. Well, you said you had moved away for a while.
I lived in Arizona. I lived out in Phoenix for a couple of years, but I grew up here. I've been here. I'll probably die here. Hopefully, many years down the road. But from what I've met people here recently. A lot of folks have moved here from California, from up north, because the land's cheaper, property's cheaper.
Oh yeah.
And ran into some folks who came to see me play during Handy Week because they wanted to hear some. They were tired of hearing cover stuff.
Right.
They wanted to hear some original music, so I'm playing a solo acoustic show at a place over in Tuscumbia, which, by the way, I grew up there, and I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd be playing at a bar in my hometown, because it was always dry growing up. There never was bars there. So
same way for me in Coleman, man.
I played a little place called Kingpins, and these folks came in and they were just going on about this. They'd never heard these kind of songs, and they were amazed that I'd played them 2.5 hours for them and never played a cover song. And they were talking about all the musics that are around here, that they get to go listen to music, and it's intimate. They get to sit down and a crowd of 10 people and listen to some music. All these players that are here, all the great musicians. Hell, we got Will McFarlane, Kelvin Holly. There's all kinds of players around here that have been doing it for decades, and people that are moving here are used to paying a cover charge of probably $15 or $20 to get into a place to see somebody like me play, or somebody like them. Well, they come down here and it's their neighbors. We stand there and talk across the fence.
Exactly.
And so they just then they say something like, "Everybody's so nice down here." I'm going like, well, you hadn't been to the right side of town.
Yeah,
You need to go to the wrong side of the tracks. You
There
know,
you go.
we got our rough side. And,
Oh, sure.
But for the most part, you know, everybody for me, you know, it's a Southern thing. It's, you know, respect for your neighbors. Treat people like you want to be treated.
Exactly.
You know?
I always try to follow that rule.
Help somebody out if you can, you know, and, you know, just be nice, you know. You ain't got to be a butthole all the time, you know. And, I mean, I'm not saying that people from anywhere else are like that, but, you know, you go to a big city, you know, you don't get a, hey, how you doing today, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to New Orleans one time, and I didn't leave nothing down there, so you won't see me back. And the worst bowl of gumbo I ever had was in New Orleans.
Oh, man.
And
that's funny.
You know, I mean, I walked down the street down there on a Monday. I was down there doing a show with a guy, guitar teching, and then you know, we went into this little store to get us something to drink late night, an adult beverage. And this guy walked up to the door and standing there in his underwear, just screaming to the top of his lungs, you know, and everybody was looking at him like nothing was going on. And I thought it freaked me out. I didn't know what to think of it.
Man.
But, you know, I'm not really a country boy. I'm an Alabama boy. You know?
Yeah.
So a river rat, if you will. But, you know, I never saw stuff that a lot of people lived through or had been around. You know, I'm pretty much you know, I hadn't seen a lot of things, and I don't really want to. I like.
Yeah, I don't really want to see a dude run around in his underwear
No,
or something.
I mean, if I want to see something crazy and, you know, bad, all I got to do is flip your phone up and open up YouTube or look at the news, you know.
That's right.
I don't want to do that. I just soon sit and watch the grass grow.
Watch that paint dry.
My paint dry, yeah.
I'm just an old chunk of coal,
That's
but
right.
I'm going to be a diamond
You know,
someday.
that was one of the songs that Billy Joe Shaver wrote that I remember hearing when John Anderson did it, and it was because it was country, and at the time I was into the punk rock stuff and the hard rock and stuff, and I hated that song. And then I heard Billy Joe Shaver do it, and
wait a minute.
wait a minute. Then, you know, Billy Joe, I got to see him. I'd playing a gig up here. Me and a harmonica player of mine left Tuscumbia and hauled butt to Huntsville to see him at the Crossroads.
Man.
And we got there 30 minutes before he quit playing. So we got in, and I walked right up to the front, and I'm so glad I got to see him.
Me too, man.
It was an incredible show. You know?
I saw him up in Nashville a while back before he passed.
Yeah.
He just put on a killer show.
What a writer, man. I mean, what a, you know.
Storyteller.
Storyteller.
Like, usually when I'm watching a band, like, I like a little bit of, like, talking, but it's like, I don't want to hear a whole lot. Like, I want to hear your songs, but then I could just hear him talk all day.
Yeah, he could read the phone book, and I'd be happy. Yeah. You know, storytelling is something that, to me, a lot of music, especially nowadays, you know, you hear a song that's in the, you know, the top song or the top 10, say, you know, there were 6 or 7 writers on it, and there's no lyrical content. There's no fat back. There's no meat on it.
Yeah.
You know, you listen to somebody like Freddie Mercury sing a song, and the lyrics, or Billy Joe Shaver, or any number of people that, with some sustenance, you know.
Yeah,
the
man.
music is so watered down. It's so. I mean, if you can write a song with a beat box from your cell phone, it's over with, man.
It's over.
You know, I'm like Joe Walsh. You know, there's no bands anymore. You know, there's no mojo. You know, I mean, like I said, I'm a late bloomer. I'll be 67 the end of this month, and I've been playing my songs for 40 years.
Yeah, man.
And I'll be playing them till I'm gone, and more, hopefully, you know, some of these new things I've got coming up.
Yeah, man.
You know, I just, you know, if I play a cover song, it's White Lightning or Rainy Night in
it's
Georgia.
always a great song.
Or I love playing Stray Cat Strut or Rock This Town, you know, stuff like that, you know.
That's good stuff.
And then I pull out some old Muddy Waters or some Robert Johnson, you know, when I'm doing my solo thing. I got to play some bottleneck stuff, you know, and
Can't beat that.
you know, just get the blues thing going.
Well, man, this is like flown by. Like, I can't believe how quick. And this is what happens when I'm talking to my good friends and we're talking about music or something I love like this. It's just like going forever.
Oh, yeah, we can sit and talk all day long.
Oh, man.
Be making fools out of ourselves.
Yeah. Well, that's what I do. That's what I do 24/7.
I do that best. That's my best attribute, making a fool out of myself.
Well, man, is there any way we can find any of your stuff on the internet?
Well, I don't have any CDs right now. They're on Spotify. I've got my album Chains is out, and I have a label called Ditch Music, and they've backed me up on some putting the record CDs out, promotion and such as that. You can go online and you just Google Maxwell Russell or Max Russell, and something will pop up somewhere or another. It's just that easy these days. But there's a thing called Reverb Nation, which I haven't been on in a long time, but I have like 200 songs on there. And there's anything from crappy boombox recordings to full-blown production, good sounding songs. That's on awesome. There.
Good songs, good songs.
They're set up to where you can buy them for 99 cents a piece or just listen to them if you want to.
Okay.
Because I don't even have an account set up where I can get the money that's been paid into that. So
I got you.
It don't matter to me. You know, if you listen to my song, just leave me a note and say, hey, I like your song.
I like it.
That's worth more than 99 cents.
I hear you. Yeah, nowadays, but, for sure.
You know, when there for years, I was taking CDs with me to gigs.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have CD players in cars anymore.
Yeah, nobody wants CDs.
Nobody wants
hardly.
CDs.
I got a bunch of them.
I got boxes of them, you know, and I listen to them occasionally, and that's when I listen to music. Mine is when I get in my car and drive. And
me too.
But I'm bad about putting my CD in and leaving it in for 2 weeks. You know, I don't never change it. It's like I forget about it, but you know, I learn the songs. I mean, I get ideas that way. But
me too, man.
You know, I'm on the Facebook there. I keep my gigs posted on there. I try not to stay on there too much.
I hear you,
because I get on there and open my mouth and something political, and then next thing you know, I got a bunch of people jumping down my throat.
Yeah,
I don't want that.
Quick nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Well, Max, man, I really appreciate you doing this, man, and just letting me come out here, hang out with you in Muscle Shoals. And
man,
I'm proud.
It's been a pleasure. I love you, man. I can't wait till Tony Purdue band gets back up there and get to kicking it, you know. And we're going to get together and write us a song or two here soon, and when we get time, and just keep on rocking, keep on doing what you're doing. You always do good stuff. You always
appreciate it.
You're always an inspiration. The first time I saw you with the Devastators, years ago, that's when I was going like, man, this is like, I like, because you're doing the rockabilly, of course. I just loved it, and I've been a fan of yours since that day, night,
man.
And you know, getting to play with you guys, you know, the Freddie and the drummer Scott. I'm drawing blanks there.
Yeah, I
sorry,
do the
Scott.
same thing, man.
But you know, getting to play with some great musicians like you and those guys, and being able to have fun and be creative and do something different. For me, just to get to play guitar behind somebody that writes great songs, that's always, man, you know, that's always fun.
That. It means a lot coming from you, man, because I got so much respect for you and just what you've done, and just the real person you are. You're just authentic, more authentic than most, and that's what I love.
Give me a kiss.
Oh no, we gotta wait till it's done recording. But, man, I sure appreciate you, man, and I guess that wraps up this show. Y'all stay tuned, and that was Maxwell D. Russell,
Tony Purdue,
Max, and I'm just some guy. Thank y'all.
Have a good day. Thank you. Peace.